How you feeling?
I'm getting there. You see what I got on, man?
That's why I was asking how you help for it.
Yeah, I'm getting there. See?
Brian, what did they have to?
I had blood clots.
Okay.
And they amputated, But I work with it.
Man.
Yeah, I'm amputated. So I get that work done a couple times a day. Keep the blood circulating, blood flowing, but it's a new normal. And the best thing about here, we have a whole medical team on the second floor.
Right.
We have a whole medical floor, which is great. They do the MRIs, like anything happens, we got a whole floor.
Deion Sanders is hurting, and not from a hit on the field. In a shocking twist, Ryan Clark just blew the lid off what he claims is a massive NFL conspiracy aimed straight at Shedeur Sanders, and it's rocking the entire sports world. What everyone thought was just a normal draft delay might actually be something darker. A setup, a sneaky, behind-the-scenes sabotage meant to crush Coach Prime's son before he even steps onto an NFL field. This isn't just another football headline. This is betrayal at the highest level, and Deion never saw it coming. The sports world loves to lift up a hero just to tear them down. And now, Deion's living that nightmare in real time. Not as Coach Prime on the sidelines, but as a father watching his son get dragged through the mud. Sure, the cameras are still rolling in Colorado, and Prime's still shining, rocking his gold chains, shades, and that signature swagger that screams confidence. But behind that bright smile, there's pain.
With it is obviously the anonymity of all of the comments and all of the quotes and all of the things that we have had reported, whether it was Josina Anderson around the combine, recently with this quote from an offensive coach who says he's entitled, who says he puts the blame. I watched Shedeur Sanders get damn near killed for 2 years at Colorado. And I never saw him berate a lineman on the sideline. I never saw him cuss or scream at a coach. And you're hearing these things like entitled and these little pieces of the characteristics of his personality.
Real pain. Not from a loss on the field, but from watching his son get caught up in the ruthless politics of pro football. Because let's be real, Shedeur Sanders should have been a top 3 pick, no question about it. The arm, crazy strong. The football IQ, off the charts. He reads defenses like a vet and stays cool when the blitz comes. Ask any coordinator who's tried to break him, he doesn't blink. The kid's got it. Not hype, not flash, that rare it factor you can't teach, the kind that separates the stat chasers from the franchise changers. But then something strange started happening, and everyone felt it. Mock drafts that used to have Shedeur at number 2 suddenly dropped him. 5th, then 10th, then 15th. And before long, he wasn't even showing up in first-round projections. How?
Opening press conference saying, okay, we are family. Saying that he was sent to do certain things. Do you feel like people got attached to that, or it just was the fact that prime time is at Jackson State?
It's prime time. If my son plays cornerback, I want him to be around, in my opinion, the best cornerback ever to touch the field.
That's right.
If my son played DN, I'd have to talk to you and tell me who's coaching the DNs.
That's
but
right.
I was sending my son to
That
play
greatness.
for prime.
Analysts got quiet, executives started dodging questions, and scouts who used to rave about him suddenly had concerns. The stats didn't change, the film didn't lie, but the energy, gone. Vanished like someone flipped a switch, and that's when the whispers started. That this wasn't just bad luck or random politics. Something else was in motion. Someone with power wanted Shedeur out of that top spot. It's got people wondering, who's really pulling the strings here? Because what's happening doesn't smell like business as usual, it smells like sabotage. And then Ryan Clark, former NFL safety turned straight shooting analyst, dropped a bombshell that left the whole football world gasping.
So Ryan Clark says that the reason why Shedeur Sanders' draft stock is falling is because he's black. He said, quote, "It is about the fact that the color of his skin sometimes at the position can be questioned." Clark has brought up racism at the quarterback position many times. This is the reason why this argument is so stupid and it's false. Okay, let's look at who is going to be the first overall pick. A black quarterback, Cam Ward. Who was the first overall pick last year?
Not on ESPN, not in a fancy segment with graphics and scripts, but casually like a man who just couldn't hold the truth in anymore. He said it with that calm tone that makes you stop scrolling, like he knew this wasn't gossip, it was exposure. Ryan didn't just hint, he spilled the truth. According to him, there are powerful forces deep inside the NFL machine that weren't just overlooking Shedeur Sanders, they were actively burying him. Deliberate moves, strategic silence, a full-blown sabotage. And not because of Shedeur's performance, because let's be real, his numbers speak for themselves, but because of politics. The real target, Ryan says, wasn't Shedeur at all. It was Deion Sanders, Coach Prime himself. Yeah, that Deion, the Hall of Famer who turned Jackson State into a national headline factory. The man who flipped a 1-11 program into the most talked about team in the country, practically overnight. The same coach who took college football's dusty traditions and blasted them with energy, swagger, and truth.
Allow him to play for.
Whoa.
This is my profession. I know what's behind the curtain. We ain't got to get back there for me to understand what's not prominent for my son. I'm not doing it. Ain't
And
no
if he
in the world.
doesn't listen to you?
Who? No, you must mean owners, like not my son.
Have you told him privately who you would like for him to play for?
It's not like who I would like for him.
But apparently, that rubs some people the wrong way. Because when you bring too much realness into an industry built on fake smiles and PR-approved sound bites, you don't make friends, you make enemies. Deion didn't play by their rules. And that's what made him dangerous. He rocked designer shades indoors, danced in the locker room like a rock star, and talked with the confidence of a man who knew his worth. He didn't just beat the odds, he embarrassed the establishment while doing it. And the old heads in the NFL, they don't forget humiliation like that. So when Shedeur showed up looking like his father's mirror image, same poise, same confidence, same unstoppable energy, they didn't see a rookie. They saw history repeating itself, and it scared them. That's when the alarm bell started ringing, loud and clear. Suddenly, everyone was whispering. Executives began reevaluating Shedeur's leadership style, and commentators started tossing around words like attitude and maturity as if confidence was a crime. They didn't like that the kid was unapologetically his father's son. What Ryan Clark exposed made it crystal clear. This whole thing wasn't about football anymore. It was about control. It was about optics, image, and power.
And it's some of the decisions you have made, and it lends credence to the criticism that he received in the pre-draft process, right? Didn't show up, prepared in meetings, didn't catch intentional mistakes, right? All these different little things that came out during that pre-draft process. And this is one of those situations, I was a 10th rounder. You're keeping your nose clean, you're making sure you do everything the right way because being a late round draft choice, he's a late round draft choice, a 5th rounder, nothing is guaranteed.
About a league that couldn't handle a father-son duo rewriting the rule book and doing it their way. Think about it. If Shedeur had played for a blue blood school like Alabama or Ohio State with the exact same stats, the media would be worshiping him right now. He'd have endorsement deals, highlight specials, maybe even a Gatorade commercial or two. His face would be plastered on every billboard from LA to New York. But instead, silence, absolute silence. No buzz, no push, no praise, just a suspicious fade from the spotlight. Why? Because Shedeur and Deion represent something the system can't control. Self-made success. They didn't wait for validation from the gatekeepers. They built their own lane, created their own shine, and made people pay attention whether they liked it or not. And that kind of independence, it scares the establishment to death because Deion and Shedeur aren't corporate creations. They're real, raw, and proud of it. That pride, that fearless confidence in doing things their own way is what makes the old guard nervous. Ryan Clark didn't sugarcoat it either.
Don't watch this video. Don't believe that what you saw of him is who he is. He's a good person. He's a good leader. He's this. We had more anonymous people saying those things. Shedeur Sanders never been arrested. Shedeur Sanders has never been in trouble. Shedeur Sanders has never misused his names to the point of taking advantage.
He said straight up, what's happening to Shedeur isn't coincidence. It's a warning, a message to Deion, to every future coach who might dare to challenge the system, to every young athlete who thinks they can shine without bowing to tradition or playing politics. It's the league saying, don't get too bold. Meanwhile, Deion's doing what he always does, keeping it classy on camera, smiling, preaching discipline, staying motivational for his players. But behind that calm exterior, people close to him say he's hurting bad because it's one thing to be targeted yourself, but watching your own son get caught in the crossfire of a power play that's bigger than football, that's the kind of pain that cuts deep. Deion Sanders has been fighting this battle his whole life.
Trying to play under today's guidelines and rules because he's a bona fide killer. Shiloh, to date, he's only had one questionable game when he didn't play well at all. And I said in the press conference, he didn't play well to his career. Bucky's been a pillar of consistency, just dominated the social media and changed the game in social media. And Shedeur, he's been that dude since day one. And they still trying to find ways to hate, because if they don't, now you got a Sanders going first pick overall, so you got to hate. If not, you still got to deal with us. But they're groomed for this. Like, they understand this because we've talked about all the stuff.
Since the first time he rocked a gold chain back in the 80s, they said he was too flashy, too loud, too confident. But this time it's different, because now they're coming for his son, and that hits way deeper. This isn't just about a draft slide or rankings on a screen. This is about legacy, about what happens when a father pours his entire soul into building his son's dream, only to watch that dream get tangled up in politics and backroom agendas. Imagine that. Your last name, the one you spent decades turning into a badge of honor, suddenly turned into a barrier. Deion's no stranger to hate, but this feels personal, because what's happening to Shedeur isn't just unfair. It's calculated. The NFL might not say it out loud, but everyone knows the truth. Shedeur Sanders is a threat.
He took it as a positive. He didn't take it as a negative. And I've been going up and down Twitter all day. And all these people, I don't get how people is enjoying him sliding down the draft board. It's like we know Shedeur, like we invested in Shedeur life. Like I seen dudes on the internet celebrating that he was sliding in the draft, that he didn't go where he was projected.
Not because he's arrogant or overrated, but because he's independent, confident, and in control of his own career. He doesn't run with the same agent crowd. He doesn't play the media puppet game. He doesn't need a PR team to tell him how to act or what to say. He moves how he wants, speaks when he wants, and plays like he's already built for the big stage. And that scares people, especially the ones who like their stars predictable and obedient. Shedeur is coached by a man who's never bowed to anyone, and now he's walking that same path, fearless, focused, and free. And to the old guard running the show, that's terrifying. This isn't the first time the league tried to cool off a young talent who refused to play nice, but it's rarely been this obvious.
Have a quarterback coming in, and they got to worry about his dad making noise about what they're doing, how they're doing it, how effective they are or are not.
Right.
All of those things come into play, and then ultimately, you know, you're an executive and you've got chosen a coach, but the audience is clamoring for dad to come coach his son and all of this other stuff. All of those things are things that an executive or an ownership group is going to be worried about, because they're about having control over their own product. Where Prime is not blameless is that he did initially state he wanted some say.
Shedeur was their golden child until he made one simple mistake. He didn't bow. He didn't play along. He showed them he wouldn't be molded into anyone's puppet. And to prove it, he even wore "You ain't seen nothing yet" on his sleeve, a challenge to anyone daring to doubt him. That single statement said everything. I'm not waiting for approval. I'm already him. But the system doesn't like challenges. So suddenly the narrative changes. Now he's inexperienced, unproven, untested. Really? As if shredding Power 5 defenses behind a crumbling O-line doesn't count. As if staying calm while getting sacked 30 times a season means nothing. As if reading defenses like a veteran and leading clutch game-winning drives doesn't scream NFL ready. The hypocrisy is wild. They're not ignoring the stats, they're burying them, because this isn't about logic, it's about power. The moment Shedeur stopped fitting their mold, they flipped the story. And now, for the first time in a long time, Deion Sanders looks like he's losing control of the narrative. You can see it in his interviews. When Shedeur's draft stock comes up, the usual fire in his eyes dims just for a second. He looks away, takes that deep breath, then forces the smile. But behind it, you can tell. The man who built confidence into a brand is watching the system try to break his son. And that pain is written all over his face. That flash of frustration in Deion's eyes, that split-second look that says it all, it's the silent scream of a man who knows the game is rigged. He's built his whole career on outsmarting defenses, reading plays before they happen, intercepting passes that no one else even saw coming. But this time, he can't stop it. He can't intercept this one. Because this battle isn't on the field. It's happening behind closed doors. But here's the part the NFL's power players didn't see coming. Shedeur isn't backing down, and neither is Deion. The same fire that built the Sanders legacy isn't dying. It's spreading. Ryan Clark's revelation wasn't just a hot take on social media, it was a spark that lit a fuse. Suddenly, the whispers turned into headlines. More former players started speaking up, analysts began connecting dots, and what once looked like a quiet draft drop has exploded into a full-blown controversy. Now everyone's paying attention, the story's out, and people are starting to ask the hard questions. Because you can silence analysts, you can adjust rankings, you can bury stories in data sheets, but you can't bury the truth forever.
When he dropped out of the first round, I was shocked. When he dropped to the fifth, I'm like, holy Shedeur, like I love Shedeur to death. Like that's like my little brother. Like I've been trying to help him for a long time, and I've been in his corner during this whole process. And his chip on his shoulder is going to grow. And I think going to Cleveland, having to earn a spot, I'm happy that he got drafted, and now he has an opportunity to go make it right. You know what I mean? If he didn't handle the draft process well, if he whatever transpired to make that happen, it's over with. It doesn't matter.
And this truth, it's loud. It's right there on the field every weekend, walking through the Colorado tunnel with gold cleats shining, headset on, and that calm confidence only the greats carry. It's Shedeur dropping dimes, waving off the system with that smirk that says loud and clear, "You didn't make me. You can't break me." That's the real fear. Not just Deion, not just Shedeur, but what they represent. They're a movement. A new era of athletes who don't wait for approval, who don't ask permission to be great. A blueprint for players taking control of their stories, their image, their future. Fathers building legacies without the middlemen. Sons carrying the torch higher and brighter than ever before. The NFL's gatekeepers can try to freeze them out, but the truth's already on fire. Coach Prime has already planted the seeds. Seeds of change, independence, and unshakable belief. And his son, he's not the problem. He's the storm that's coming. They thought Shedeur would fold under pressure, that the spotlight would finally crack the image. But they forgot who raised him. A man built for the spotlight. A man who turned doubt into destiny. They thought that slow, silent drop in Shedeur's draft buzz would break him, that it would creep into his mind, shake his confidence, and finally shatter the myth. They thought they could make him question himself, make him play scared, but they clearly forgot one thing. The Sanders family doesn't fold. Deion's been building this Colorado program for 2 years with grit, pride, and purpose, and his son, he's carrying that same fire straight onto the field. Instead of sulking or chasing approval, Shedeur did what real ones do. He went to work. Every practice, every rep, every throw turned into a statement. He's out there balling like a man on a mission. Not just to prove the doubters wrong, but to make them regret ever putting doubt next to his name. And the wild part? It's not fueled by anger. It's fueled by precision. This is surgical domination. Every read, every motion, every pass, controlled, calm, and deadly accurate. The way he moves in the pocket, smooth. The way he releases the ball, effortless, like a flick of destiny. This isn't just football. This is defiance wrapped in execution. Every time Shedeur steps on that field, he's rewriting the script they tried to write for him, and now the same scouts who whispered about his attitude are suddenly changing their tune. You can see it happening in real time. Anonymous sources leaking new takes. He's matured so much. His leadership is incredible. His football IQ is elite. Please, everyone paying attention knows what that is. Damage control. The same people who helped bury his draft stock are now trying to dig themselves out. Because the truth they tried to silence, it's starting to bloom. Loud, undeniable, and backed up by every throw Shedeur makes, and they weren't ready for the resistance. Fans are speaking out. Former players are rallying. The energy around this story has shifted. It's no longer a scandal, it's a movement. Shedeur's not just protecting his draft value, he's protecting his legacy, his bloodline, his family's name, and the world is watching. Deion's never begged for sympathy. He's never asked for shortcuts. All he's ever demanded for himself and his son is a fair shot. But now, the unfairness is so clear it's practically trending. The same media that once called them flashy is now forced to admit what's real. The Sanders family stands for excellence. No excuses, no gimmicks, just greatness built from discipline, heart, and truth.
It's a good question. I wouldn't have part of any evaluation process or to
Skip Bayless
see
says
that.
otherwise.
That's the problem with media is everyone can just say whatever the fuck they want. I actually texted Shedeur because I know him very well. And I said, dude, whatever happens, wherever you go, that's your first day. Day 2 matters more than the draft. I was 199. Who could speak on it better than me? Like what that really means. Use it as motivation.
And that's what scares the establishment the most. Because what started as hate has turned into history in the making. A son earning respect, not with talk, but with results. Every throw, every win, every moment on that field is another piece of proof that Shedeur Sanders isn't hype. He's real. And the wildest part, he and Deion haven't even hit their peak yet. While the NFL establishment scrambles behind closed doors, panicking about how to handle this new wave they can't control, Shedeur is quietly plotting his next move. And it's all strategy, not desperation. He's learned the game now. He sees the power plays, the fake smiles, the media manipulation, and he's not falling for any of it. With Deion in his corner, this isn't just father and son anymore. It's a chess match, and they're 5 moves ahead on a board the league never thought he'd even sit at. Shedeur's building something bigger than hype. He's building a legacy, and that scares them to their core, because they can't control it. They can't predict it. And most importantly, they can't take credit for it. Now, the same execs who tried to downplay him are stuck, watching the story flip in real time. The player they dismissed has become the headline they can't ignore. The father they mocked for being too flashy? Now the blueprint every young coach wants to follow. The movement they tried to bury? It's blooming right under their feet. Shedeur isn't just back on the draft radar. He's circling it like a predator, calm, calculated, and completely unshaken. Every move is intentional, every silence strategic. And Deion, he's not even shouting anymore. He doesn't have to, because the truth is now louder than any lie ever told about them. What started as sabotage has turned into a spotlight, and not the kind the NFL can dim or spin away. This is generational. This is structural. This is bigger than football. This is what it looks like when a father refuses to let the system rewrite his son's story, and when a son refuses to be defined by anyone else's version of success. The Sanders family isn't chasing acceptance. They're changing the standard, because excellence alone isn't enough anymore. It has to be undeniable, and now it is. You can fake hype, you can fake headlines, but you can't fake results. And that's what Shedeur Sanders is. Real results. Not because the media crowned him, not because draft boards suddenly woke up, but because when they tried to bury him, he didn't shrink. He grew roots. Deep, strong, unshakable roots. And now those roots are cracking through the concrete walls of an entire system. And everyone in the football world is watching, realizing they can't stop what's coming. So go ahead. Keep sleeping, keep doubting, keep pretending this storm isn't real. But when Shedeur Sanders walks across that draft stage, calm, confident, and already built for the moment, don't act shocked, because he saw this whole thing coming from day one. He knew the whispers, he knew the backroom politics, and he still showed up every single time with his head high and his game louder than any rumor. They smiled in his face while plotting behind his back, and he never blinked once. That's what separates him from the rest. Composure under chaos, because standing behind him through it all is Deion Sanders, the most fearless father in football history. A man who's been doubted, disrespected, and dismissed his entire career, and still turned every slight into fuel. Together, they're not just changing the game, they're rewriting the entire playbook. This isn't just a comeback story, it's a revolution. a new standard for what legacy looks like when it's built from truth, family, and unstoppable belief. So yeah, let them keep pretending nothing's happening. Because by the time the cameras flash and Shedeur shakes that commissioner's hand, the whole world will finally realize the Sanders name doesn't fade, it rises. If you made it this far, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video. And I'll catch you on the next one.